I was about to start off with good morning, everyone, but seeing as we're actually doing this at a irregular time for us, good afternoon slash good evening, depending on where you are around the U.S. and Canada. So today is a very special day for us here at Obscure Orations. We have our very first published author guest speaker, which Dana and I have fangirled over heavily over the past like couple weeks, and had like those little bits of nervousness too, where it's like, oh my god, we're getting a real person on this. No offense to V, we love you, but we also know you, so it takes away that little bit of nervousness that you feel. So today with us, we obviously have myself, Taylor, and the beautiful Miss Dana there,
Hello,
and
hello.
and our special guest is, I don't know if you prefer to have the middle initial in there, but Len M Ruth.
I mean, yeah, it's just for the start, it's branding. Like, yeah.
I say it's like
Yeah,
share
for
being
sure, for
share.
sure.
So I haven't had the pleasure
Hello.
yet because I'm unfortunately a slow reader. But
Me too.
Dana has. Oh, thank God, it's not just me. I think maybe it's an author thing. We're better at writing than we are at reading.
If it wasn't for audiobooks, I swear to God, like I would get nothing. I would read nothing.
It's not just me.
53 years on the planet, and I bought my first Kindle a month ago because I enjoy the crack of the spine, the smell of the paper. I
Mm-hmm.
am a I am a physical book person.
They're my
But
favorite.
with all the book recommendations I've been getting off of Book Talk and Veronica and you guys, I can't keep up. I'd have to like tell my husband to move out because I need the room.
It's just me and the books now. You can leave.
Need the books and the cat.
Right.
So, I have read Rachel's Apocalypse Diary, Volume 1 and 2, and I've read The Unrecovered, and I just started reading The Pull.
Cool.
You're just like on a freaking. You're on a roll.
So, um, in The Unrecovered, I absolutely love your characters. I think Sarah is my favorite, and that's because of her three dogs. Her three
Mm-hmm.
dogs' names are Kuntz, King, and Dickens. I'm like, yes!
That is fantastic.
I'm a huge, huge, huge Stephen King fan. I literally refer to the man as my literary life mate. So you like your character development in that story was just mind blowing. I loved it. I want to say page turner, but it was a swipe because it was on the Kindle. But you definitely have to read them, Taylor.
Oh, they're on the list. I'll just steal your Kindle from you. You're like, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
So one of my very first questions, how did
Mm-hmm.
you come up with that idea for the unrecovered? How did you come up with the idea and the premise of that book?
Uh, kill him with kindness, right? Like you've heard the expression. I'm like,
Yes.
what? What if? What if there was like a thing that would make you so happy? Like, can we say what language can we use, right? Like because
Any and
we're
all.
Oh yeah, you go
okay.
full
So
balls to the walls.
like I don't know like if like there's a point where like you get demonetized or if like this is going out somewhere where I can't say the word die because it's really hard as a
No, no,
horror
you can say
author to be on some of these platforms and be like unalived or like yeah
Yes.
like just yeah. I was like just what would happen if like there was a an ailment that would like instead of like making you really sick or making you really like what if you were just so happy that you were unable to feed or take care of yourself and you died that way and like because you get to ask some interesting questions about like so I get to talk about the healthcare system in the US and like or the lack of availability of medical supplies, or like, what do we do with these people? They're going to die. There's no way to help them, but they're not dead yet. Do you throw them on the refrigerator truck? Like,
Mm.
you get to ask some very interesting questions when you do that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. When I was reading it, of course, my husband's not a big reader, but when I read a book, I have to talk it out. So I'll be like talking to myself, and he's trying to answer me because I'm like, the smiling flu. Like, could you imagine dying just being so fucking happy that you couldn't do anything else? That you're just so fucking happy. And he's like, what are you talking about? He couldn't see my Kindle on my lap, so he didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, like that did when I got to that part about the smiling flu, I was like, holy shit, what if? And it really got me thinking. I kind of related it to COVID in a way because of the isolation and what was going on in the one hospital in Washington. And I was like, So it was really, really, really interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And from the way it ended, I'm hoping there's a part 2.
The part 2, the first draft is written. So like my process is like I write the first draft and then I have to put it away so that it's not precious when I go back to edit it. And then like this year has conspired to keep that in the drawer. That is, I think that's my summer project. So it's going to be a while before the next part comes out. But I definitely I want to hit it hard this summer. I don't. Is it spoiling anything? I don't think it's spoiling anything because, like, you're gonna need to have read Rachel, so you've got that going for you. But Rachel is one of the main character POVs in the second book. So yeah,
nice.
So like the characters from the Unrecovered finally get to meet Rachel in the second book. So like you don't have to have read Rachel, but it helps.
It helps, right?
Kind of gives you like the intermingling of the backstory where you're like, okay, I kind of know what Rachel's about a little bit. When you go into it and you're like, oh, I know her. Because let's be honest, we all have that moment when you're reading the description of a character, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, that sounds like that person that I've read about before. Oh my god, it's finally happening. She's here.
And Taylor, you'll love Rachel, or you'll love Rachel. She's a queer character.
That makes me so happy. Wait, no, I can make that better. It makes me so gay.
Which
right?
to me
Cheers,
again, I was like, finally, like you don't find books that unless you're reading Christopher Rice, you don't find books that give to the LGBTQ community by having a solid forefront character like that.
Yes.
If you think about it, so Sarah from the Unrecovered is Ace. So she's queer. Carl is gay.
Gay, yeah.
So like
husband.
there's 2 of your 3 POV characters in the Unrecovered are queer.
Yeah.
And then Rachel is queer. But this was one of the hardest things when I was like putting it together and what categories and keywords and all that stuff, because it's like, right, I don't want to be the next queer Stephen King. I want to be the next Stephen King, right? Like you want that part of me like wants the wide audience, but also it's a little easier to get seen in a smaller genre like queer fiction. But one of the things that I set out to do with all of my writing is to not make the characters' queerness central to who they are or their experience, right? My thing is like, I want to normalize queerness, like by doing it, by just normalizing here are these characters, they're queer. It has nothing to do with the story. We're not,
going to dwell on it. It's not 90 pages.
They're not doing spicy things on the page, right? I have a whole other pen name for that. So
we will talk about that.
So now Dana's like, I know my reading things.
So like, yeah, it was just like, all right, I just want these characters to just be queer and be regular people doing like regular things.
Exactly. And like, you don't see that in books.
No.
It's you're hard pressed to find characters that are just themselves like that.
And I say,
like I said, unless you're reading Christopher Rice.
Yes, exactly. Like you get so much of the tropes that go along with it, where you have the gay best friend that comes in and he's catty and all those things. Like, yes, those people do exist that are like that, but those aren't the only ones. Like, there's a lot of us that just blend in among society. We live among you. We're here, and we're here. We're queer, and you just don't even know.
I saw a thing the other day about it was like, in case you were worried about it, you have already shared a bathroom with a trans person. Like statistically, it's already happened. Like,
that's awesome.
That's
kind of fantastic.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I was just gonna say that immediately. It's like, that is fantastic, just because, like, I've said it for years, where it's always the fact, it's like, you're not always gonna know. Like, it's gonna be a weird kind of timing kind of thing, but I watched a comedian clip a couple weeks ago, and a guy talking about that he accidentally went out on a gay date and he didn't know, and it was because the guy that took him out acted so much like what he suspected was a normal straight man, that when it came to the end of the night and he tried to kiss him, he was like, "Oh, what the hell's that?" And he was like, "Well, I'm gay." He's just like, "No, you're not. Like, you play basketball." We were like, "Yo, let's go see the Laker game." All these things. And I'm like, see, we blend in amongst you. You have no clue. And he's like, "Oh my God, I went out on a gay date by accident and I was the girl. He opened my door. He paid for dinner. He held things for me."
He should have put out then.
You're like, damn, you got treated real nice.
Here the whole time.
You just thought, well, in my case, for the lesbians, you just thought we were all roommates for the entire lifelong things. They were just really good friends and shared a bed because it was cheaper.
Rent was cheap. I'll definitely have to get Darren to watch this episode. My brother, this is what makes me an ally to the LGBTQ community. My brother is gay. And from, I don't know, my daughter was about 1.5 years old when she started talking, and referred to him as Auntie Darren.
That's fantastic. I love that. I love that story.
We had shirts made for both my kids that said, "My uncle's better than your uncle," and it was a unicorn on a stripper's pole.
Oh my God, that's so Darren. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah, both my kids embraced my brother and his gayness. Like, it wasn't an issue. Okay, Unkie's gay, so what? Move along. What are we having for dinner?
It's one of those
nice
things.
So
like,
yeah,
if you don't make a big deal out of it, then it's not a big deal. Like, to the kids, like, yeah. Exactly.
So, okay, back on track. Let's talk about your schmivaways. I love that word. Your TikTok
my partner mocks me so bad when I use the TikTok language. It's just like, it hurt my soul for the first few months, but now it's been normalized. I'm like, okay, what are we calling it? Is it a book away now? What are we calling it? Like, just come get a book, would you?
Come get a book. Just come take the book. Look, I have.
Here's your book.
You freaking take it.
So I watched you do your unboxing of Tales of the Doomed.
Mm-hmm.
So when will that, like, can I get that one on On
That
my Kindle now.
one, that drops May 1st.
May 1st. Okay.
Ooh, it's
I'll
Right
have to
now,
put that-
you can only get it. You can only get it in the Schmiv-away.
You gotta get lucky in the Schmivaways.
I was saying, it's that moment where I'm just like, okay, if I just reach through the screen enough, I can touch it.
I
Real book and
try.
everything.
Give me that book. So, looking at your bio, it says you wrote 7 books. Correct?
Does it say 7?
It
I
does say
don't know if
7.
it says 7.
I think.
Okay,
I think.
well, if I wrote it there, it must be true.
I think
to
the-
be fair, we
I
have them
think
written
they
down. Where
include
it's like,
the
okay,
Saint
there's at
Garage
least
Your
6.
Daughter,
Mm.
the short stories.
Well, I mean, if you count the Rachels as 2, I mean, they're novellas, but
Okay, they obviously
Mhm.
count them as 2.
but and I mean, there's novels in the drawer, right? The second book of the Unrecovered series is in the drawer. There's another one. There's like a weird like body horror space opera thing that's like
I'm in. I'm already in for
I-
that one.
if I ever get time, like, no, that one's gonna be fantastic. Yeah. I like that one a lot. I like those characters. I want to do a lot more in that universe, but oh my God.
We'll have
What
to
I need is a
alive.
Patreon, a sugar daddy, like what, so that I can just stay home and write my books. Okay, like God bless my
SugarDaddy.com.
partner. But yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you're just gonna find me hanging out over at Len's place. I'm gonna just be reading books. Going, hello.
Yeah, so there's books in the drawer. So I mean, there are 7 somewhere. There's 2 feature length ones out, which is the Unrecovered and the Pull. The Rachel 1 and 2, I've bundled together into this paperback.
Okay.
But you can't get this either unless it's a Schmiv-away, because
Oh.
I'm that guy.
Damn Schmivaways.
What I'm going to do is whenever it is that I get that other book edited and start ramping up the marketing for the second Unrecovered book, I'll release Rachel as part of that marketing campaign and do some Schmiv-away bundles where it's the Unrecovered and Rachel, and then the Unrecovered Rachel and the second book. Like, yeah. So like, I mean, so we, you know what, we were talking about Schmiv-aways, giveaways, and then we got off on all these tangents, but
It's a regular
essentially,
thing for us.
right? No, I'm the tangent man. I'm here for it. But I'm trying to do one a month, and like the purpose of an author, at least for me, you know what? I'm not gonna speak for anyone else. The reason that I do it, one, like, I like it. Like, I like engaging with people and seeing their faces, and you know, like, I like it. But also, it's free publicity for my books.
Oh, absolutely.
And what I'm hoping is that the people who I give them to will leave a review. Like, you want to support an indie author, the number one thing that you can do is leave a review. It's more important than buying the book. Like, if you get a freebie, if you read it on KU, Kindle Unlimited. I'm going to try and limit the jargon, right? But if you read it on Kindle Unlimited, like, however you read it, leaving a review is more important than the like dollar that I'm going to make off of it. I would rather have your review than have your dollar, because what happens is that, like, if you think about the way that you shop, you're looking at reviews, you're going to buy the thing that has 50 reviews and maybe pass by the thing that has 2.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So
I think I've left your reviews.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Because
Yeah,
like,
sure
the more reviews you have, like, it's like a snowball effect. You start going down the hill, and then, so like, the book that has the most reviews right now is the Unrecovered, which I think has like 30 something on Amazon. and that gets a couple of sales, you know, it probably gets like a dozen sales a month with no advertising or marketing at all, except for the Schmidtways, which that's fantastic, right? If I'm doing nothing to promote it and it's getting some sales, that's, yeah.
I'm giving you free promotions.
Yeah, no,
because
I mean, we're helping each other out right now.
Yeah.
You know, this is free promotion for me, and then I'm gonna link this in my newsletter. That's going out to 1,200 people, and hopefully you'll get some more viewers and listeners out of that.
Say that moment where you're just like,
that's how we do it.
No, when I finished reading the two Rachels and the Unrecovered, I posted it on Facebook. My Facebook and Instagram, and I was like, you gotta read these books, they're amazing.
Oh, yay. Thank you.
So yeah, free publicity.
I'm not on Facebook much anymore. I mean, I'm on there, but I don't go. It's like
it's social medias.
Well, it's like I have to try to keep reading, which I end up just doing in the car, or like if I have mundane tasks at work, I'll have my headphone things on. But like, you got to read, you got to write, you got to edit, when like self-publishing, like I'm the chief cook and bottle washer. So if it's happening, I'm doing it. So like the actual part of my time where I'm writing is pretty small. And the actual part of my time where I can just like goof off on social media is also pretty small. So it's like, I get, all right, if I'm doing something, it's on TikTok because I'm working.
Might as well.
That's okay.
Like, let's lump it in. It's I get a little bit of TikTok time, and I'm also working while I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with free publicity in my eye, and for me, any author, any indie author, especially that self-publishes, and in the small town that I live in, we actually have an author that's written 2 horror novellas, and I'm like spreading his shit all over the internet, trying to get people like, you got to read this guy's books.
That's awesome.
That's
thank you on his behalf.
That's how I do things. If I find something that I think others will enjoy and should look into, I'm gonna verbal diarrhea it all over the place.
And you do, like, you are the best. You're like the best cheerleader for everyone. Where you're like, oh, do you like reading books? You're gonna like reading these books.
Books.
Oh.
Yeah, that's me. So
a good thing.
Let's talk spicy persona.
All right. Let's do it. So I my spicy pen name is CB Chelia, which is CHELIAH, and it was funny. So I have like my writing partner. I heard you guys talking to V about like non-romantic soulmates. So like my writing partner is my non-romantic soulmate. So she was all right. So again, right, like I can say whatever I want.
Yes.
Yep. Everything's open. Everything's
so like
your game.
She was asking me like, how'd you come up with that name? Right? And the subtext is, that's a stupid name. Like, no, we have that relationship. Like, we can say like, that's just like, no one knows how to spell that. No one knows how to pronounce. Why would you do that? So like, for your viewers and listeners, I'll get back to my story in a second, but the Easter eggs in all of my books, I do Easter eggs the same way. It's names, because I will sit at the keyboard and it doesn't matter what someone is called, right? Or Rose by any other name and all that. Like, I know who they are, so it doesn't matter what I call them. So I'm like, God, what's this person's name going to be? What's this person's name going to be? So like, I'll go back to like the Latin or the Greek and like play around with things. So like, if you're ever reading one of my books, you're like, that's a screwy name. Like, go start looking up the Latin and the Greek for it, and then you're gonna get the essence of that character.
I like oddball names though.
Oh, I am so happy
right.
right
So
now.
like Ayala in the Unrecovered. I'm not going to tell you. You have to look that up. But like, there's a few names like that in there where it's like.
That makes me so, like, I don't even have words for how happy that makes me, because as Dana's just like, oh my god, she's such a nerd right now. You love me. That's all that matters. You're stuck with me. Because anytime that I write, I do obscene amounts of research into the names where I'm like, I want it to be something that's not current because I'm bored with current names, but I want it to be something that comes from a different language, whether it actually has like a connection to a deity of their time or not, or just like, what's the equivalent of Joe in ancient like Aramaic?
Yes.
And it's like, why? Because I can. And it sounds way cooler than, hey Joe, let's go down to the bar.
I will admit I was fascinated with Ayala's name. I was like, where'd that come from? So now I'm gonna have to go look that up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm gonna have
So I
to
was
look
like,
that up.
oh, what do I name her? Because it's like all starting with her. What are we gonna do? But anyway, so back to CB Chelia, my spicy pen name. I was fooling around with it, and my partner is always like talks about my DSL, right? So I don't know if that's like a toxic masculine thing or if it's queer, but it's like dick sucking lips, right? So like my partner's like, yeah, DSL. So like I'm like, what's the Latin for that? Like, can I just do like the Latin of that for my pen name or whatever? Well, it turns out lips in Latin is labia, right? So I'm like, well, that's out. We're not doing
You're like, no,
that's
no.
a little too on the nose even for me. But like when I was looking that up, labia became chelia, I think, in the Greek, but it also meant loved one or something like that. So like that's how that. And then I was like DS chelia. I'm like, that's nah. But I'm not gonna say what the CB stands for at this time. Someday I will, but not right now.
Yeah.
A person's got to have their secrets.
On part 2 of the podcast, we'll find out.
Right. So I was like, I don't know how I stumbled on it. I mean, I know how I stumbled on it. I was on Book Talk, and somebody like, because I do the horror in Len M Ruth's pen name, lots of like dark romance and other stuff will come up. So like, and then I'll like go down that rabbit hole, like, because it's so easy to do on TikTok, right? And like an hour later, you're like way far away from wherever it was you started, and I just ended up on I think it was just like straight up like erotica or monster erotica or like.
I've been there too.
And this book comes across Morning Glory Milking Farm, and I'm like, and there's a picture of a minotaur on the cover, and I'm like, what?
Interesting.
Right? And I'm like, you can do that? Like, that's not illegal. you can. And I so I'm like, I need to know more about this, like, because you can do that. Like, I want to do that. Are you kidding me? How far can we go? Like,
what limits?
Like, I was just gonna say, as it turns out, in the literary world, there are no limits.
Yeah, no, there are, and I'll explain them in a minute. So, but like,
he's like, I found them.
Yeah, no. So I looked like, is it on Audible? So I looked because that's how I, do most of my reading, and it was, and it had like an enormous amount of positive reviews, like. What was it, hundreds or thousands? Like, I forget if it was like 200. I forget if it was like 200 or 2,000. I'm like, wait, this is a real thing. This is a big market. So I'm like, wow. I need to know what this is. So I read it, and it was good. Like, because like, you know what? Like, your viewers or listeners can look up like milking in the male sense or figure it out. We don't need to go down that particular rabbit hole, but I'm just saying, like, I did not have high expectations going in, and
That would be
it
my
was
thought.
well written. Like, the craft was good, right? Like, the story was good. Like, it was entertaining. The characters were like, it was good. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. And, you know, now there's a new kink that we've unlocked. I'm like, where, how? And then, so then I was just like, well, how far can you take this? Like, how far can we go? So, like, I just started, like, looking for the edges of the box, right? So, that's one edge, right? Mythical creatures, you could do anything you want.
Yep.
But has to be like a mythical creature. And then so I started looking at like erotic horror, and a lot of that, like, there was some, I don't know if they would consider it splatterpunk necessarily, but there was one, I wish I could remember the name of it, because there was one, wasn't the prequel to Haunting Adeline, but it was a popular one like that, I feel like, where the main character was like a character in one of those Halloween haunted houses, and then the people go in, and if they're bad people, she and her cohorts like murder them brutally in this carnival haunted house. But it's like murder by sex or whatever, and it was just like, it was so gross that I was just like, this is a hard limit for me. I'm DNFing this now. Like, when there was like, the woman was going at the man with a mace and like dragging his insides out, and I'm like, this is why I don't understand. Like, no, I'm not knocking anyone who digs that, but like, not there for that.
So one of the books that V had told me to read is it's called Toxic Love. And it was along that line. They clean up after murders, crime scenes, and she gets off on the blood, and they have like wild, crazy sex in body parts. I was like, oh.
Not a kink.
Should I be eating dinner while I read this?
All right.
Yeah, it was.
I have. Don't go ahead.
I'm just. It was. Yeah, it was there. It was my limit.
All right, I have one for both of you, and I want you to like read or listen to it, especially listen to it, and then report back. Like, we're gonna. I want there to be a discussion afterwards, because
write this down, Taylor.
This is
On it.
all right. The audiobook for Butcher and Blackbird. It is a horror steamy romance. It definitely has some gorier bits, but the gore is not like, they don't mix the spicy parts and the gory parts, which I appreciated. I like them separated.
I'm with you, I think, on that.
But so it's like male POV, female POV, and they switch back and forth throughout the book. And the voice actors, oh my god, the voice actors are so good. They're so good. It is like, hands down, it is my favorite audiobook ever.
This may be the first book I listened to. I've never listened to an audiobook.
I can't picture, like, I love reading, but because I'm not as fast as I so desire to be at reading, I love audiobooks. And I mean, for me, because I'm a nerd and I read a lot of like fantasy or Star Wars, that kind of stuff, where to me, the fact that they can add in music, do voices, sound effects, and all that, it makes it even more enthralling for me and just fully brings me into it.
They do that?
Oh, yeah.
My God, I thought it was just some idiot sitting in a studio literally reading the book.
That's like old, like if you listen to some of the ones, like if you were to listen to the Narnia series, like I listened to that a couple of years back, it was literally just someone reading from it. And then for a different one, I was reading some of like the old, what was it, Redwall series, where they literally had a cast for it. So every single voice was done
Damn.
by a different person. And they would have like clattering pots in the background if they were in the kitchen. They do accents, they do all of it. So audiobooks have gotten really good now where like they
All
get
right.
pulled into it where you're like, damn.
I have another one for you then. This one, I don't want to go too far into mainstream because I want to support the indies, but my second favorite audiobook of all time, maybe even tied with Butcher and Blackbird, is World War Z. And don't mock me
Great
because
movie.
no, the book is the
Oh, the book is
movie,
obviously better.
Oh yeah.
They basically took the premise and the title, but the movie has almost nothing to do with the book. Almost nothing. So but World War Z is a full cast. So, and I can't even do it. There's like 20 people, but like here are the notable ones. All right. Carl Reiner, Rob Reiner, Mark Hamill, Alan Alda.
I was in it, Mark Hamill.
Like Renee Auberginois. There's like, I'm like like 80% of those names that are on there. You're just like, what? Well, it's so good. It's so good.
Definitely,
yes.
then definitely have to do that one. So how many books have you written under your spicy pen name?
All right. So the first one was The Wolfman of Notting Hollow, because I was like, we can do this now. I'm doing it. So like they're shorts. They're like I just did the audiobook for it, which comes out the 15th, which is like it'll be out by the time you publish this podcast. And that's like an hour and 15 minutes. So it's short. So there's The Wolfman of Notting Hollow. That's out in ebook and audiobook. There's the Slate Hill Ritual, which so like Wolfman of Notting Hollow is obvious. Slate Hill Ritual is like ghosts and paranormal. These are both and then there's a third one that I'm working on now, which is like Vampire Motorcycle Gang. Oh yeah, no, that this one is, oh man. Right.
He's just like, oh my God, my writing for this book is just...
it is so depraved. It is so
depraved. I love it.
Like I can't wait.
Yeah.
20-1. That's all I'm saying. Like it's so like motorcycle gang bang. Like so yeah. And those three are So like once I have those, I feel like that should be long enough to put it together and release a paperback with all three of them in there. But my intent is to do ebooks for all three, audiobooks for all three, bundle them into a paperback and release that, and then bundle the audio together into one audiobook and release that.
Ooh.
I'm ready, just like, okay,
and then
I'm ready.
I got my list. Perfect.
So, yeah. And in the midst of all that, like Tales of the Doomed is coming out, and I need to edit the second Unrecovered book, and I need to change careers.
I was just saying, how do you, like, where do you find time for all of this?
I get up at somewhere between 3:30 and 4. I work until 6, and I get ready and I go to work, and I work 8 to 4. Then I come home and work until 8 or 9, and then I go to bed and do it again.
Oh, God.
Holy cow!
I mean, like, I do take time out to like be a dad and a good partner and stuff like that. But like, yeah. But also right now I have to do retraining for a new career because I probably getting laid off at the end of June. And my profession is kind of shrinking right now. So I'm like, all right, I need to do something else. I got some irons in the fire. Like, I'm going to be okay, but I've got to like take some classes and get my shit together. Like,
Yeah.
so like,
sorry. Voices.
Okay.
I was just saying, ghost came in. Hi.
Yeah, my house is haunted. I totally lost what I was gonna say.
I was just gonna say, I literally
Holy cow,
saw,
I hate that, man.
I saw the thought just leave your head, and it was like, oh, you didn't say me when you had the chance. I'm leaving.
Oh, okay, now I remember. About the self-publishing. How hard is it to self-publish?
there are a lot of first pancakes. There are like, I just feel like right now in my life, I'm just like, when does the first pancake energy like ebb and I can just like get into the flow of this thing? But like, I'm always doing something new. Like, this is my first audiobook. This is my first time working with Findaway Voices. This is my first time working with ACX, which is the parent company for Audible. This is my first time, like, had to buy a better microphone, had to learn how to master a recording, like get all the mouth sounds out and the background noise. Like, it just like, it's hard. I could get all like, League of Their Own, right? It's the hard that makes it great.
That was fantastic.
I have learned, like, here's my mantra, right? I just wanted to write. Like, when I started self-publishing, like, I just want to write. I don't want to do all this other stuff. Like, and I was, like submitting places, and my writing wasn't ready when I first started submitting. Because what happened was, I wrote the Unrecovered in 2017, right? This big apocalypse pandemic book. And I wrote it and I put it in the drawer and I did a second draft and I did a third draft and I started sending it out to agents. And then the pandemic hit and everyone's like, no one's going to read that. No one's going to read that. Put that away. You're done. And I'm like, oh, damn it. So like, it literally just went in the drawer for like 3 years. And just sat there while I wrote the poll and some other stuff. And then I pulled it out and I'm like, oh, okay. I can see where I wasn't ready to submit to agents. Like, this needs a whole nother. So I did like more revisions and more revisions. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to self-publish it. Like, I don't want to wait. I don't want it to sit in somebody's bin for 2 years. Like, if I get an agent and then the agent sells it and then it gets a book deal, like it'll be out in a couple of years, maybe. I'm like, nah, let me just try and do it. So, it's a steep learning curve, but like my mantra is like, I'm going to make the process my bitch. Like, I'm going to like, so like, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy the marketing. Like, and I feel like I'm cresting that hill now. It's like, getting it formatted and getting like the manuscript looking good and formatted and getting the all of the components like it's really satisfying. It's really satisfying. It's like, I don't know, like having a clean house or something. It's like, oh, look at that.
All the laundry done.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Put away.
Just sit back and just be like, oh, look at that. So like, yeah. And I mean, I did a lot of stuff that I probably didn't need to do. Like, I incorporated, I bought marketing classes. There were a lot of first pancake, like, that might not have been money well spent there or whatever. Like, but now I have my own publishing company. So I can do CB, Chelia, and Len M Ruth, and now this third pen name, which is my actual name, which is so like the career I'm going into is technical writing, which is like user manuals and corporate documents and stuff like that. Cause like that's writing too. And it's just like doing the formatting and making it satisfying. Yeah. And that's what I want. That's my next career. coming in June. Right? So it's like basically adding 2 pen names this year, but it's all under the umbrella of the publishing company.
Oh, that's good.
I mean,
Someday I'll
it's impressive,
take
the
in
amount.
other. Yeah, someday I'll take in other authors, but not until I get everything figured out. If that ever happens, I'll let you know.
Well, we'll be definitely following along.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Absolutely.
I'll be following along. Okay, so he's got all of these first pancakes. I'm taking notes over here. I'm like, okay, there's going to be a lot of first pancakes.
Taylor is a writer who isn't published yet.
And that's a place where I need to diversify my content on TikTok. I need to go back to that. Like last fall, I started a series that I just called Indie Author Fuck Ups, and it was
That's great.
I would watch the fuck out of that.
Right? It was just me being really honest about like, I should not have done that. Like that didn't work out at all. It's just like if I could spare somebody else the pain, like, you know.
Yeah, well, like somebody like Taylor having a conversation with you, and I know I've read some of Taylor's stuff and she should publish. So yeah, like having somebody like you to talk to would definitely make those steps into self-publishing and avoiding those indie author fuck-ups.
I would say all the first pancakes that you just see me throwing against the wall. I'm like, ah, shit.
They're sticking
today.
I mean, like my number one thing that I would say from where I am looking back at where I was, like, is like, just spend the money. Like if you have to deliver pizzas or if you have to wait or whatever, just spend the money. Like do what you're good at. Do what you're good at. The things that you're not good at, don't focus on trying to become good at them. Or, I mean, do that. But for now, if you want to get the story out, pay somebody. It's like my covers. All of those, like, I found somebody great on Fiverr for cheap. Those covers did not cost a lot of money. Those are all less than $100, those covers. But the ones that I was making were garbage, like comparatively. Everyone's like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. And then like, cause I'll do like beta readers. I'll just do a temporary cover, like whatever I come up with on Canva. But then like when the real cover there comes in, I'm like, oh, that's amazing. I'm like, yeah, my guy's a professional. Like, yeah.
That's what I have Dana.
So I was like,
artist.
Right? You need somebody, you have to have one person who will tell you in whatever way that you need to be told when you suck.
Yeah.
Like, just,
yes.
If you're my friend, don't let me go out with my fly unzipped. Tell me that this one, right? That's like how I look. It's like going out with my literary fly unzipped. It's like...
Yep, I would say I love that because that's what I think we talked about it with V last episode, where that's what I have my friend Sonia for, where she'd show me something and I was like, I love you. I don't love this. I don't know what you wrote here, but this is not you. It's okay, but it's not you and it's not really done great. And then she whipped together something else by the next day, and I was like, oh, now, see, that's my favorite thing you've ever written before. Like, but see, I won't lie to you, because I'll be the person to go, what the fuck are you wearing? What did you write? No, put it down. Put it down, leave it in the back corner. Don't bring that out in public. That stays here.
Do you ask your partner to read your stuff?
Yes. Yes, my partner is ADHD, so like they make the way that their thing works, like with their medication and all that, it makes them an excellent line reader, like proofreader. right?
Okay.
Like, because they'll just tunnel in and like you missed a quotation mark here. Are you sure is that capitalized? Like all of that stuff. Like, oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And they challenge me, right? Too. They'll ask me questions like, why is this or why is that, or did your character said this? I don't remember seeing it, and I have to be like, let me search the document. No, I did. I said that in chapter 3. Like, or no, I didn't. Nope, got to go back and put that in. Like, because it's hard. Like a reader reads a book, right? I mean, you were talking, Dana. You were talking about like reading 1 or 2 a day.
Yeah.
When we're writing them, like it takes months. You know, like it'll take me from 3 to 6 months. So like, I don't remember what the hell I said in chapter 1 6 months later. I mean, like I'll do as I write it, I'll do like a 2-sentence outline of that chapter as written. So it's like I can refer back where it's just like, okay, yeah, that's what I said in that chapter.
Oh.
But like the detail stuff, like I'm not gonna like a secondary character where like we're in a scene and I want some description, like what the hell color is their eyes? Like I don't remember. It's like I'll look in my character notes and it doesn't say in the character notes. I'm like, did I friggin' say that or not? Like, not either I have to come up with the eye color, I have to reread the whole manuscript to make sure I didn't already say a different thing. Like, it's stuff like that where it's like, ah!
And that's interesting because I often wondered how Anne Rice did it. If you've ever read any of Anne Rice's books, The Mayfair Witches, for example. 2 chapters on the description of the gates leading to the Mayfair house. 2 chapters. How do you remember?
Like that's excessive, but
like, how do you remember that? How do you remember that? Because the book, I'm not shitting you, it's got to be.
Oh yeah, her books are hefty.
1,000 pages. Like it's like this.
But she sees it. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for her, but I would imagine she sees it. I see everything. When I'm writing, I'm watching I call them head movies. I'm watching the head movie. Yes. So that I can describe it and put it down like
as you see it.
Yeah. And it's easy to go back to because it's like, yeah, okay. Did I yeah. Because I can remember the visuals, but yeah.
For you, do you still, or have you ever struggled with, because it's something that my friend Sonia and I have talked about, where it's, everyone always has their different types of writing. Like obviously Anne Rice was very decisive about, this is what the front gates look like, and you're going to really know it. But did you ever have any sort of struggles of trying to find that balance of give enough detail for everything going on, but trying not to overdo it with detail? Like, I'm with you. That's too much detail about the front gates. Like, I probably just needed, hey, they were golden front gates, and they opened up, and that was it, and I'm good.
Yeah, I don't think that I struggle too much with that. I think if I have any struggles at all, it's too much. Like I don't want to say too much, but I like dialogue. Like I love writing dialogue. Like Aaron Sorkin is probably he's in my top 5 writers of all time, and his dialogue is just so good. So like, if you guys don't know, it's West Wing, the first 4 seasons of West Wing,
yes.
A Few Good Men, Sports Night. What was the news one that he did? The Newsroom or something like that. But like, if you go back and watch those with an ear for the dialogue, it's and the characters have such great rapport and like just snappy, like it's yes. Oh, so like I aspire to that level of dialogue, and I love it.
I'm with you. I love dialogue in a book too. I like to read what they're saying to each other, rather than having one sentence that makes me try to figure out what they're saying to each other.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Mhm.
In my opinion, it makes sense. Like you can set up a scene perfectly, but then if you don't have like a good back and forth going between the characters, then you don't. To me, that helps build the environment and build the story and give great character development where you can show, oh, hey, this one's a sarcastic bitch over here with all of her comebacks where you're like, okay, sometimes you don't have to be sarcastic. It's fine. Like, I know a story's good when I'm actually interacting with it and I'm responding to the character going like, you could have just said, oh yeah, there it is. Okay, fine. Oh yeah, you're a bitch still. Like, that's when I know the stories are good and the characters are better.
That's good. That's good.
There's a scene in The Wolfman of Notting Hollow that's some of my favorite like banter that I've written, where like the main character is injured and the Wolfman takes him back to his lair or whatever, and the Wolfman's just kind of like he's not derpy, but he's just like whatever, and the main character's like freaking out because like he's in the Wolfman's lair, and he's just like, is this funny to you? And the Wolfman's like, it's about a 3.
That was good.
I love that. That would probably see that.
Because then, like later on,
situation.
Because and then like later on, like it comes up again where he's freaking out again. He says the same thing, and the Wolfman's like, still about a 3. Like it's like.
Well, I mean, for me, when I read dialogue, and I do this in Stephen King books that I read, when I get to a part where two characters are having a conversation, I'll actually like give them voices.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Give them voice. Sometimes I'll throw in a Scottish accent or an Irish accent, or just something to make it fun. But that's I do that.
Butcher and Blackbird, the audiobook, the male main character, Irish accent, so hot, so hot.
And just like that, she's like, audiobooks it is.
Yay!
We'll have converted her completely.
My husband and I are planning a trip to Scotland, Ireland, and England in the fall.
Nice.
So I want to. My grandfather was born in Inverness, Scotland, so I kind of want to go see where he was born. So I'm kind of getting my husband into like listening to British, Irish, and Scottish accents. And I forget what we watched. But after about an hour, he turns and he looks at me. He goes, I didn't understand a word he said.
Yeah, that sounds
like,
about right.
This is going to be a fun trip.
Scottish brogue is going to go by and you're just going to see him go, huh?
I can see.
Watch your step, honey.
He's going to go into like he's going to go into a pub or something and have no idea what he's ordering.
He'll just eat it and be like, this is good, I think. I don't know.
This is haggis. Although he did say he wanted to try it.
That Scottish brogue is so beautiful, but it's so difficult for the American ear. It's like, what did he say? What?
When my grandfather's accent wasn't too bad until he got mad.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he got mad, it was like, what do you say, Mom? Grandma, what do you say? Because I couldn't understand him at that point, because then it got like super thick, and then he'd throw in some Gaelic, and like, I'm lost. Totally lost.
Yeah, you get the other language going in there, and you're like, oh, come on. Like, I didn't even think you were speaking English to begin with, and now you're actually adding in Gaelic? That's just not fair.
Exactly. Exactly.
I bet you any money that when you're over there, they're probably going to, especially seeing as you want to go to Inverness, you said? That's where your grandfather was from? I can guarantee you're going to go there, and they're going to look at you and be like, are you here because of the show from the Highlander? Or the Outlander? No, Outlander. Outlander?
I've never watched Outlander, but I did watch Highlander numerous
Actually,
times.
That I haven't seen since I was a child, I think. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
Which one?
Highlander. Outlander is still out currently.
Oh. Well, anything with Sean Connery in it, I'm going to watch.
Just saying, supposedly, if the rumors are true, they're doing a remake of it with Henry Cavill, and you know I will watch the fuck out of that.
They're remaking Highlander?
Supposedly.
Fuckers. Leave the goddamn good movies alone.
Look, again,
I mean, who doesn't love Christopher or Sean Connery? But I feel like I wouldn't mind seeing somebody else take a swing at the Christopher Lambert role.
Yeah, he was a bit cheesy.
I mean, like I said, I'm okay with it if the rumors are true and it's Henry who's going to be doing the role. I am completely fine with that.
Okay, I'm okay with the remake as long as they keep the original score. It's got to be the Queen music or nothing.
Yes, it has to be the Queen music, and I need the scene with the Cadillac on the bridge.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I have to have it. He like jumps in the car with the old lady. What's his name? The Gorgon or the Kraken or something like that. The antagonist character. And he just he jumps in the Cadillac with the old lady, and he's like, "Mom," like, and then he's like bashing the Cadillac into the bridge, and there's sparks flying while they play Frank Sinatra's New York. Bam, bam, bam. And I was like, that is a brilliant piece of filmmaking. I need to see that again. Like,
yeah, there's certain parts they need to keep.
It wasn't a bad movie for 1980, but exactly. Yes, I can see how they can make advances here in 2024.
There might be a couple that they're like, okay, look, we could probably do some better CGI now. We could probably include this and this.
Those cheesy beheadings in 1980 were so bad.
And the lightning for the quickening, you're like, oh wow. I feel like that doesn't hold up so well.
Yeah, there might be a few areas where they might just be able to, just a little bit better. Just a smidgen. Just a little sprinkling on top, and be like, okay, here's some new movie magic.
Although, you want to know what disappointed me, and I just found out this the other day? They made a remake of The Crow with Bill Skarsgård.
I've never seen The Crow.
That.
Well, if you're gonna watch it, watch the Brandon Lee version. Cause I was like, what a horrible thing to do. He I don't know if you know the history of the
somebody died. That's all I know about it.
Brandon Lee died filming the movie.
Oh, right, yes.
When a prop went wrong and he was actually shot. The gun was the prop was misaligned or something, and he was shot and he died, and it was, I don't know, just it's kind of like, because he was Bruce Lee's son for me.
Oh.
And this is where my Hungarian father comes in. My dad and I watched a lot of the kung fu movies, so Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee. You can't remake a Bruce Lee movie because there's nobody like Bruce Lee. I feel the same way about his son, even though he only made that one movie. That movie was spectacular. The cinematography in it was amazing. I don't know. I love Bill Skarsgård. I loved him as Pennywise, but he's no Tim Curry, mind you.
Well, I mean, again, those are big shoes to try and fill. Tim Curry is Tim Curry.
Amen. Amen.
There'd be no way in hell. Like, even if someone came up to me and they were like, look, we have this amazing script. Do you want in? Oh, yeah, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Go fuck yourselves. Not doing that.
That travesty that they made for television where Rocky was a woman. How dare they? How dare they?
It's just, nope. That doesn't exist in my head. It is only the original Rocky Horror Picture Show and nothing but. But just,
I just wanted to bring that up because I was like horrified at that aspect. That again, you're a writer, Len. You have ideas. I'm thinking, why the fuck can't Hollywood come up with ideas?
It's not that the ideas aren't there or that those scripts aren't out there. It's that they can't get made because, like, well, we know we can sell this Marvel movie, so let's just make another Marvel movie, right? And any of these scripts are sitting on the bottom of the pile because nobody's got the cojones to, like, take a shot at something. Like, not nobody, right? Like, the meaningful movies are indie, just like I think a lot of the books too, right? Yep. Because major publishing is the same way, right? And it's not their fault. Like, it's not the fault of the big, however many are left, 4 now, publishing companies, or it's not the fault of big Hollywood. Like, they have investors. Those investors want to see a return on their investment. If you're going to spend X million dollars, then you better make a movie that sells. You can't take a chance. It's the same thing with like major publishing. They can't take a chance like that. The books that they put out have to be so amazing that they know that they're going to make money for the company. Otherwise, we're out of business, right? And where with indie, like, so, you know, good books and good scripts can just get stuck on the bottom of the pile for a long time.
Yeah. But then again, you have an author like Stephen King, and again, you guys know, I've already explained, he's my literary life mate. There are books that he has written that should never have been published. And I believe they were only published because they were under the name of Stephen King.
Yep.
He's already established himself as the greatest horror author on the face of the planet. So I'm going to write a shit novel in 3 weeks, and Simon and Schuster are going to publish it anyways because it's Stephen King.
You and I should collaborate, because here's my idea. Here's my idea. Hold on 1 second. I got to do the lighting. Give me a second here. From Stephen King comes the latest horror novel, My Grocery List. Dun, dun, dun. Milk, eggs, bread. Look.
So you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know damn well.
I mean, because, like,
copies.
Right, I'm with you. I love Stephen King. Oh, that one light has just come on, come back. There you go. Yeah, I've read a lot of Stephen King, but I can't, like, like Taylor, I'm a slow reader, so I can't have read everything. And that's why you guys are a great pair, because I have my friend who's read everything, because I'll be like, yeah, you know, so I was thinking about writing this book where, like, people get the cell phone calls and they jump off a building, and my buddy's like, Stephen King did it. I'm like, and then, like, and I'll just, like, go through, like, a couple different ideas, like, Stephen King did it. Stephen King did it. I'm like, is there anything he hasn't written that I can just, like, and the answer is no. No, there's not. Like, he's written everything. So you just got to bring a fresh treatment.
He's 77. You may get your chance.
Right?
No, because Lord knows he's got 52 different
drafts for sure.
away.
For sure. And if he's not going to write them, his sons will. Because both of them write. Joe Hill writes the exact same books as his father. The exact same books. I was in the bookstore. Yes, I still go to bookstores. I was in the bookstore perusing through new releases, new authors. And I see Joe Hill. I picked the book up. It was 20th Century Ghosts. I pick it up. I flip it over. I see his picture on the jacket. I'm like, the fuck Stephen King doing in the 70s, writing books and just releasing them now? Because that's how much he looks like his father in the 70s.
Mm.
There's no denying who your heritage is, buddy. Just use your real name.
I'm not related to him at all. You'll look like the spitting image of your dad. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
That'd be
I'm
like
telling
me
you
trying
now.
to deny.
Telling you now, when Stephen King dies, Owen and Joe have got the rest of the books that they're gonna write.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
But like, do you ever like read or look at the unabridged 20th anniversary edition of The Stand? Like,
I have it.
Okay, guarantee you she
right?
has it.
So like the original was like what, like 600 pages?
Uh-huh.
And the 20th anniversary edition was how long?
1100.
Like,
Holy
yes,
shit.
1100. So Taylor, like, to put that in our terms, the audiobook is 56 hours.
Jesus Christ, I'd never finish it. Even the audiobook, I'd never finish it.
It is 56 hours. I mean, I went through the whole thing, but I feel like it was edited down for a reason. Like, Stephen, like, fantastic book. But like 1,100 pages?
Yeah. Yeah, he gets a little long-winded sometimes.
He really kind of does.
You know what? I suddenly don't feel so bad about any of the times that I make something that I think sounds long-winded. I'm like, oh, you know what? Like was it last year? Was it last year or the year before? I did that. What the hell's it called in November? It's like no mo.
NaNoWriMo.
Yeah,
I think they call it NaNoWriMo, right?
Yeah,
National Novel Writing Month.
Yes.
Oh.
And you dedicate like every day. It doesn't matter necessarily how long you write for, but you have to make sure that you write every single day. Just something.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do like a short story. I have an idea in my mind. I know exactly how I want it to go. Started going, and then by the time that I was like, okay, I'm barely at the end of the month, I'm like, all right, so it ended up being 35 pages. Like, showed it to my sister. I'm like, yeah, this was supposed to be like a short story of like 10. She was like, short story? This is more like a short novella. What the fuck? I'm like, I'm sorry. I got a little long-winded where it's like, I thought these parts, and I edited it down because I had more. Like, oops.
But in that case, do you find that I don't want to use the term long-winded, but do you find that you are it's character development, story development, and that's what elongates from 10
I feel like
5?
For my writing, like, one of the things, especially like for the Unrecovered and the Pull, like, I was new and I had just read his Stephen King's novel about writing called On Writing.
Oh yeah.
And like he talks about word counts and page lengths, and this is a good page length, or this is a good length for a book, and a good word count and all that. So I kind of wrote to that, and that was true when he wrote that book. But like the way the books that people are reading, the way that people are consuming media, like, books are shorter now. People's attention spans are shorter, right?
Yes.
Like, good, bad, or indifferent. We can blame the demon of technology or modern life or whatever, but it doesn't matter. It's how it is. Most books are not 150,000 words. They're not, 500-600 pages. They're a couple hundred pages. Like, people want short.
Yep.
So like there's the reader and audience side, and there's the business side. If you do shorter books, you can put out more books, make it into a series, and that's, as an author, that's where the money is. That's why everyone is writing series. That's why there are so few standalone books, because if you get people to like your book 1, they will buy your book 2. So you've just sold 2 books. Right? If you just write a standalone, you're only selling that 1 book. And that's hard for me because I typically don't have the attention span for that.
I know that feeling.
I'm like, dude, I just spent 3 years on the Unrecovered. It was 150,000 words. I got it down to somewhere around 110,000, and that's like 400 pages, and I have to do 2 more. Like, so like, and I love those characters. Like, I like that world, but like, okay, I have 1 more book in me for sure. So like that book is probably only going to be 70 or 80,000 words, I think, when it's done. So like 300 pages, like, it's a whole 100 pages shorter, because it was just like, the same thing with The Pull. Like, The Pull Stephen King was my main influence. So as I write that, it's like dark and long and descriptive and gothic and spooky and all the things. But then modern readers come back and they're like, the pace was a little slow. I'm like, for what you're accustomed to, perhaps, like for a Stephen King reader or something like that, maybe not. But that's, not who is reading. That's not who's reading it, right? So like, I gotta move it along and shorten them up.
And I'm all for the 1,000-page books.
Well, again, one of your top books that you've been obsessed with since childhood is Lord of the Rings. You can't get more long-winded than Tolkien.
It's true.
The man knew how to do a never-ending sentence.
He invented a language for a book.
Not one. He invented multiple.
Yes, multiple.
I'm over here, I'm like, I just need to invent names. I'm not doing the languages. I don't have that in me. I know I don't.
Yeah.
In fact, got time for that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's funny that you brought that up, because I just cracked it open the other day and started reading The Hobbit again.
His shortest book, I think, is The Hobbit. It's like, oh, here's a light, gentle read. Light, gentle. Tolkien, what the fuck?
So I have a 10-year-old, and I was like, over the last year, we read at night. So like, I'll read a book aloud. Although like, as now that she's like 10, she's doing most of her reading on her own. But for a long time, we would just do a chapter or two of a book at night. And I did The Hobbit. I had to do so much explaining. It's like just because the language is arcane, right? And and the usage of the word queer is arcane, and because there is so much queerness in my family. Like, she was like, she's very accustomed to like trans identities and non-binary identities and gay identities and lesbian identities. So like, when we were talking about queer, I'm like, I had to keep explaining, like, no, it just means strange, because that's what it meant in the author's time. Like, because like, if you go through it, like, if you were to put it on a document and search the word queer, like, there's like hundreds of instances in The Hobbit.
Oh my God, yes. I swear that was one of his favorite words to use for all of it. And you're like, oh, if only you knew what that would mean in the future. You have confused so many children of this age.
So, I'm retired, Len. I had a double knee replacement and retired shortly afterwards. The other day, Taylor, I decided to watch. I did a Lord of the Rings marathon.
Yep. I saw you post that on Facebook.
Get to the end of Return of the King, and it's at the part where Pippin is telling Merry, "I'll take care of you." My husband, God bless his soul, does not read, turns to me and says, "Are they gay?"
Well,
oh my God, I love you.
Awkward family reunion. Our family's real close.
I'm like, no, honey, they're not. He's just gonna take care of him like I kind of take care of you.
I don't think that was a good way to explain that.
Oh. it was just because I think in the movie, Gandalf uses the word queer
I
in
think so.
the Fellowship, and I think that's what prompted him to ask me if Pippin and Merry were gay. I was like, no, no.
Like, it's sweet that you caught that, but no, you caught the wrong
They're
thing.
hobbits, honey. Oh, too much.
Meanwhile,
Oh
you
my goodness.
had...
How long have we been chatting now?
I have no clue. I stopped the timer.
Oh,
So we're at just
I
a
don't
little
have
over
my
an hour.
glasses on, but I think we're an hour and 44 minutes in.
No.
We
20.
told me
Yeah.
that we're at an hour 44. I mean, you and I had started to call before he got here.
Yeah, but it
An hour
does,
and it's
is it a-
it's 5:24 my time, and we started at 4, so an hour and 24 minutes.
oh, we're
See,
good
there you
then.
go. Suddenly she's like, oh,
See,
we still got plenty of time.
I told you guys we were gonna have fun. I'm like, all right, I can't wait to talk to these two. Like, we're gonna have a good time.
The thing is, when you find somebody that's easy to talk to and you have a
Mhm.
conversation that flows, you're hard pressed to say, oh, we gotta cut it off because the viewers don't want to watch past 45 minutes.
Yeah, I would say that's where we're just like, okay, you know how we talked about the long books? Well, you're getting long podcasts too. Just accept it. We're gonna get
The unabridged version.
The unabridged version. I like that.
That's perfect just for our lives in general. What are you doing? Oh, we're visiting. How long is that gonna be? Oh, it's gonna be a while.
Don't ask.
Expect the seasons to change, the days to change.
Every now and then, slide a Pop-Tart under the door.
Yeah, oh, it's feeding time! Yay!
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Well, it's been wonderful having you on to talk to you, and
Yes.
I absolutely hope we can do this again.
Hell yeah.
Yes. No. I want reports back about Butcher and Blackbird.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
Yep. Okay, have them right here. We have homework.
and I would just like to say that people can get book 1 of Rachel's Apocalypse Diary at lenmruth.com for free, just by signing up for the newsletter. You get that book for free signing up for the newsletter at lenmruth.com, and you can get The Wolfman of Notting Hollow for free at freakyromance.com.
Oh.
I love that domain name was available. I was like, oh, I'm getting that. So like CB Chelia's website, because like I was like, should I do cbchelia.com? Like, nobody's going to know how to spell that. It's going to be a shit show. So I was just like, freakyromance.com. Like, people will remember that. They'll go there. So you can get The Wolfman of Notting Hollow free at freakyromance.com. Again, just by signing up for the newsletter. Both of them, it's 1 email a month on the second Tuesday. That's it. I won't spam anybody's inbox or whatever. But I put free books in every newsletter, because it's like, I'll swap with another author who has a free book. I'm like, you mention your book, I'll mention my book. We build our mailing list that way, our newsletters.
Oh yeah,
And the readers get a free book every month. Like,
Hell yeah. I know what I'm signing up for.
I'm happy to tell you I paid for the ones that I'm reading.
oh, thank you.
Because in my opinion, you are an indie author, self-publishing. I, as a reader, am supporting you.
Oh, thank you.
I, for one, cannot
And
wait
it
to
just
read all of
mostly
this.
it mostly just makes me feel good, because I'll go on Amazon or whatever and I'll look at, I'm like, somebody bought a book today. Look.
Well, if you had a day where all like 4 of them went, that was me. Somebody
right
bought 4
on.
of my books in one day. Yeah, that was me.
It's like,
Thank
bye,
you.
bye, bye, bye.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's not like they broke my bank account either. They were like $6.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's more than reasonable enough. hell of a lot cheaper than, some of the mainstream ones that you can go grab at Chapters or Indigo, and you're like, oh, here's this $60.
Or Mr.
Right,
King's book that's coming out in May, because I always pre-order all of his books. And I'm, again, holy cow, I gotta have the hardcover and the paperback. Hardcover for my bookshelf, paperback to read. $36 for his new book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
Ouch.
it's crazy. It's crazy expensive. Like, I price mine cheap because I want to move them. I want people to get to know me, but like, I don't make anything. I make like, I think I make $4 on a $15 paperback, $3 or $4. On the ebooks, I make a couple of bucks. On anything that's like 99 cents, like the Rachel books, I make like 30 cents, I think. So like, yeah. I know when you guys were talking to V last week, you were wondering about like what that looks like if anyone's making any money, and the answer is no, especially for Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah.
Kindle Unlimited, the folks who enroll in that, like, they're there to get their book out, and because Amazon gives them a better deal for being, because if your book is in Kindle Unlimited, it can't be anywhere else. That's the deal, right? You get a higher royalty rate, but you can't publish on any other platform. So like if it's in KU, it is not in any other bookstore. I don't do KU because I want my books everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting to know.
But the other side of that argument is that Amazon, the last time I checked, Amazon had 85% of the market, right? 85% of all book sales are Amazon. The other 15% are everyone else, right? The 15 other platforms that I do make up less than 15% of my sales. So people are like, yeah, why bother with the other stuff when Amazon has the biggest share? And if I go exclusive with them, I get a better royalty arrangement. Like, it's, yeah.
Yeah, but you're only, it's kind of like our podcast. If we had locked in an agreement with Spotify to say we would only post our podcast on Spotify, how's anybody else going to listen if they don't have Spotify?
Mm-hmm.
Like people on Apple or people on iHeartRadio. Yeah. I mean, not that we get paid or anything, but
as you grow, that's the goal, and the more places you are, the more chance you have of being seen. And like, you know.
Yeah. That, and we just like to talk. We like to talk to people about fun things. It's true.
Time flies by then.
Well, not only, but like, look at what we've learned. Learned about, for you, self-publishing and how to write and things like that. And for me, I learned out that there's freakyromance.com, and I've got to go there when I go get my coffee and sit on the couch.
Your husband's going to be looking at you. What are you doing? Don't worry.
Mind your business. Watch the hockey game. Be a good boy.
Well, you know, the proliferation of that kind of reading, and because I feel like mostly like vagina owners get like their excitement that way, and like penis owners get their excitement through visual means. But like the proliferation of the written spice has helped more people get laid than anything else, I think.
Oh,
I believe that.
Yeah, you read something good and spicy, then you're like, all right, let's go to bed.
Come here. Come here. Yeah.
You remember Anne Rice's pen name? Where she wrote the Sleeping Beauty, the 3 Sleeping Beauty books.
I want those.
She took that cherished Disney fairy tale and turned it into an S&M free-for-all.
Yeah, I remember those. I mean, what?
Yeah, my brother, who's like, Anne Rice was his person. When he said, you've got to read these books, tells me nothing about them, right? He's like, you got to read these books. I'm like, okay. I'm like 5 pages of what the fuck am I reading? Then I'm like, hey, honey, we should try this.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yes.
those were definitely, I think those were my favorite books that she ever wrote.
And then, of
I was
course,
like,
the 50 Shades series came out, and
those were for
I didn't
soccer
read
moms
it.
who were like, hey, let's do this. And I'm like, no, here, read Sleeping Beauty. No, it's not for children. Don't read it to kids. Don't read this to kids at all.
Read this book.
Trust me, you'll like it. Your husband will like it even more.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, well, we'll definitely have to set up another date. Like I said,
Yes.
I am going
Absolutely.
to
This was a lot of fun.
I have to travel to London tomorrow, so I'll download books on Tuesday.
Smart.
And then and yeah, you may get an email from me. What the hell am I reading?
What the hell just happened? He did what with the what? I didn't think you could do that.
Who's in what cave now? So, but we thank you very much for joining us, Len. It's been a fantastic evening. I've thoroughly enjoyed conversing with you. And
Me too. This was a lot of fun. I knew it would be. I knew we were gonna have fun.
And I definitely, like I said, we've got to do it again. We've got to do it again.
Absolutely. I'm here for it.
So we will sign off, say our goodbyes.
All right.
Ciao,
Thank
everyone.
you again.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to everyone else hopefully next week.
Yes.